השם בשמחה, עבדו את השם בשמחה, בואו לפניו ברננה, לפניו ברננה. עבדו את השם בשמחה, עבדו את השם בשמחה, בואו לפניו ברננה, לפניו ברננה.
Shalom, everybody, and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are, and it's such an honor and privilege to be with you here. Malka Fleisher joins me as well. Shalom,
Hello
Malka.
there. Happy, beautiful summer day.
Yes, God bless you, Malka. It is a beautiful summer day here in the land of Israel. It is I have a name for the summer, Malka. I call it the summer of VIPs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody who's like not been in Israel for 2.5 years is like in this summer. And not everybody, but
A lot of people.
A lot of people, and they're all like, "Hey, I've got 5 minutes to visit you today. Can I
Yes,
come
in
in?"
23 minutes, I'm going to be
In
right
Hebron.
where you are. Are you right there?
That's right. And also, I got press people being like, "Hey, I want to do a story," and I actually helped the press do a story about Hebron youth. And it was so funny because I had them. I didn't even watch the interviews. I walked away so that I wouldn't be worried about what they said. They just like all these young high school kids that I have them working this summer to beautify Hebron. They were interviewing for the media, but there's all kinds of folks in town right now, and everybody wants something now. And you know what?
But it's awesome. And they're all like, you see them, they got like, the shawarma sauce dripping out the side of their mouth. Everyone's up and down and sideways sharing pictures of where they're going. It's really good. It's old school. And I was in the old city the other day, and I saw a sight that I feel that I haven't seen in so long, which is like a bunch of people with fanny packs and hats clustered kind of together, looking around, walking slow, and then a tour guide with like one of those microphone pouchy things that, like not a megaphone.
I just got one of those.
Did you?
Yeah. Dan Rosenstein from the Hebron Fund got me one of those.
What is it called?
Magbir Hagbara.
That doesn't work. This is an English show.
It's like a belt bullhorn on your belt.
Bullhorn belt thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, and this lady is
wait.
And we're in Jerusalem.
Wait, what do you call the headphone part of it? In America, we call it like a headset.
Right, a headset.
In Israel, we call it Madonna, which is what you...
Exactly what you think it is.
Well, you might think it's like some kind of religious icon. No.
If you think that, you're wrong.
No, it means Madonna means...
What Madonna would wear during her concerts. Which dates us as a nation.
Listen, she
She's still out there even? I have no idea.
I don't know. It's like a prayer out there. I really don't know. You know what I mean?
Anyway, I saw these groups and it put like such a smile on my face.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was just like, welcome back, people.
That's right.
Welcome back, groups of tourists with fanny packs.
That's right. Yesterday, I had some Texas Christians, Baptists.
Well, yeah, it's Texas.
Who go around the world helping.
What does that mean?
They do things like they've dug in the last 5 years 65 wells around the world and have dug these wells and have created pumps for all kinds of tough places.
Like fresh water. They help you. Wow, that's a big deal. Fresh water is the biggest deal.
Yeah, I took them to the spring of Abraham Spring, and they had a lot to tell me.
What did they think of that?
They thought it was great, but they had a lot to tell me.
Did they give you advice about how to rehabilitate that place?
Yes, they did. They did. We spoke about it seriously, and it was good times. You know what? When it comes to Gentiles and especially Christian folks, there's really many different colors and kinds.
Of course.
They had the Texas, of course, being from Texas, they also had on their body somewhere
a symbol
of Texas.
Well,
right, because that's what Texas is about.
Otherwise, you're not proud of yourself.
Right. So
it's not good.
So
it's bad.
Gotta
represent.
Within 10 seconds, I knew they were from Texas because they literally had hats with Texas,
all up and down
shirts
and
with Texas.
Sure.
Yeah,
I love that. I wish Israel was more like that.
It really could be.
It will be. It will be.
I mean, if we're not that, then the Palestine replacement narrative.
They're great at that.
Yeah.
You took a picture of a very heinous keychain.
Yeah, that's right.
That you bought off some kids on the street in Hebron.
Right. So that reminds me exactly. So this keychain thing has, what do they have? These pro-Palestine folks, or the pals, as we say, the Pallies. What do they have? Or Phillies.
Yeah.
Right. What do they have? They have keychains that have all of what would to all perceivers look like the borders of the state of Israel, and yet the flag of Palestine is over the whole thing. So I had another Christian
and
group.
And you put that picture of the keychain up where? On your Twitter, on your Facebook, on your Instagram?
I put it on my Twitter. It on my Twitter.
You put that one up
because I put like more angry little things on Twitter because it's a more angry place. So so then I had this other group from not Notre Dame, but Notre Dame.
Yes.
Okay, if you say
Notre Dame is in Europe.
Right.
Notre Dame is in the United States.
I was a bit confused about this issue. Okay. So I had a group of Notre Dame young people brought along with their professor, and they were not pro-Israel. They were an angry bunch. They were just like ticked off, and no matter what I would say, they just give me this face. There was like 20 of them. I could tell that 3 or 4 kids were not with the angry version variety. They like wanted to be persuaded.
They were just with the Middle East peace.
So
faction.
I just want to give Yishai's tips for how to deal with angry Israel haters. One of the things that I did once I was all smiles, really. No point like lost my cool or anything, and they also kept it pretty sturdy.
Everyone was respectful.
Yeah, but respectful in like a professional kind of way, like not a respectful like let's be respectful, like okay,
like we're not going to be rude,
right? But so when I identify that I'm dealing with a group like that, I hit them with a few things. One of the things I hit them with is I'm like, I really honor the fact that you're here in Israel trying to think about the issues of this region, but I just want to remind you that inner city Chicago has like 500 deaths a year from gang violence, murders. And if you add it all together, there's like been a big uptick in gang and just related minority murders in cities like Atlanta, and then in a city that I didn't think would had a problem called Milwaukee.
Milwaukee has violence problems?
Yeah. So
that's Algonquin for
right,
the Good Land.
The Good Land, right. So
please write in if you know what we have just referenced. Continue on, Yishai.
So
wait, no, it's not continue on. What is it?
Carry on. In any case,
darn, I'm missing it.
Oh, the Texan folks said, what they say? They said like
party on, Yishai.
Party on, Malka, for sure. Back to the regular scheduled programming. In any case, so Malka, you threw me off.
I'm really sorry. Your group. Yeah, your anti-mean group.
So I'm just like, you do know that there's a lot more violence in inner city America. So if you want to solve a problem, because there's like a lot more people dying.
Right, if you're trying to make some peace.
Right. There's a lot more people dying in like your country.
Right. In your backyard.
And then I'm like, man, it's kind of funny for you guys to give a lot of advice when
you're not managing your own issues
in your own like peaceful country, when there's like,
you have no natural predators.
Right. You seem to have a, problem. So I'm just, I was nice to them. I'm like, I just want you to consider that, like, before solving other people's problems and, understanding our issues is a long thing. Since really we've been living in this place for like 3,800 years, and we've been living with the Arabs for 1,300 years. So us and the Muslims know each other. So it's like, I think that, and here's another line I said to them. I'm like, I think that the 400 million Arabs will figure out a way to deal with the 7 million Jews. And since we've dealt with each other for 1,300 years, I think we can work it out without foreign intervention. And I used a different country. I'm like, I don't think Denmark needs to help us figure this out. We'll figure it out,
Right.
We'll figure it out.
What would they think of that?
Well, whatever they thought of that is I was hitting them over the head gently but firmly.
Like with a pillow.
With a
like with some foam, but not a very soft foam.
Right. I was letting them know that, like, don't get too uppity. Don't get too uppity around here. Like God bless you, but you don't know diddly. Oh, right. I gave him another example of this Danish girl who says to me, I don't know much about the religious history of this place. And I'm just like, you mean the history?
Yeah,
the history. And I said to her, like, but you really don't know that much about it. So, and then she's like, well, I do know that the League of Nations created a mandate for Palestine, for there to be a Palestine here. I'm like,
then you literally know nothing.
I'm like, are you joking me? I'm like, a mandate for Palestine means the Jewish state of Israel. It just wasn't called Israel.
Did she not know that?
No, she goes, no, you're wrong.
What?
I'm like, you have not read the next line of it. You didn't even read it.
Like, at least wiki it before you get here.
No, yeah, but they don't need to know facts. And it's not really important what the past was, she told me. She said, what's important is today. I said to her,
frightening.
You know what I said to her? I'm like, that is colonialism, what you just said. You want to come to our region, tell us that the past is not important. You want to fix everything right now.
Right. You, with your like blondiness, you're going to come in here.
Well, I called her a white colonialist a few times. Yeah, I said that to her. I'm like,
I bet she liked that.
You should see her. They physically wince. You just go, you're a white colonialist. You're coming here. You literally said you don't know. She goes, well, we know. I'm like, you literally just said a minute ago that you don't know the history of this place. You don't know it. So you're coming here with solutions. You don't even understand who's what. You don't speak the languages. I said to her, I speak. I'm a Jew. Okay. The other guy's an Arab. We have similar genetics, similar religions. We have been living with one another for 1,300 years, maybe much longer if you count it from the biblical period. So I think we understand each other much better than you, my white colonialist friend. Okay. And
she like melt into the ground?
Well, what I think is important sometimes you got to bat them down a little bit. Sometimes you gotta deflate them a little bit because they come in with their colonial haughtiness, like they're gonna like tell you.
And it really is true. Like when it's not just a tactic. Like what you're talking about are strategies to deal with people, but you're dealing with reality, meaning to say these people are coming into Israel and they're actually thinking that they can like wave their finger in your face,
right?
When they legitimately do not understand what's going on and don't exactly care.
Right.
They just want to tell you what to do and like be the decider, and that is colonialism.
Right. So then this from Notre Dame, I was
just
like,
go with it.
Yeah,
it's American. It's American.
This kid, his name is Amen. So I'm like, is that like from the Bible? Like amen? Is that what he's like? He looked at me like he wanted to like burn me down. He goes, it's Irish. It's EAMEN. I was like, like amen. It's like
okay,
I'm,
okay.
like I'm,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, bro. Okay, go ahead. What's your question? So he goes, you said earlier that immigration is one of the tactics of the jihad.
He said that?
He said
he
earlier,
said to you.
He said, but you Zionists, you're the same thing. You guys have immigrated from Europe to this land. And your whole thing started in 1948, and now you've taken over other people's lands.
Okay.
So I said to him, first thing is, you're right that part of immigration is indeed part of Zionism. And not everything that I say is part of the jihad means I'm like totally against it. Like, okay, like, yeah, we are coming back home. Right. That's number one. Second thing I said to him, we're sitting right now in a synagogue built in 1540 by Jews in Hebron. I said to him, we didn't wake up one day and decide to immigrate and colonize a piece of land. We had two commonwealths here. We're from this land. Our language is from this region. Our peoplehood is from this region. You're sitting in a synagogue that's over 400 years old because we've always been coming to this region. Zionism doesn't start with Herzl, God bless him, a great hero in my opinion. It started with Abraham. It started certainly with the Jews that were kicked out by the Romans. I said, we've always been Zionists in the sense that we've always yearned to come back home. And I said to him, with respect, and I'm not saying that you're saying this, I said to him, but with respect, I want to say to you that the narrative that you spoke of, I'm not saying that that's what you believe, but the narrative that you spoke of is an anti-Semitic narrative. I said to him, to make it that the Jews came to Israel in 1948, and that's when it all began, is an erasure of all of our history. It's an absurd replacement of all that we've been and all our connection to this land, and it is a form of anti-Semitism to erase our connection. It's a gaslighting,
right? And it's directed against Jews,
right? And he did not like that answer so much, although he was respectful. But the best part of the story is that at the very end, when we were walking, so somehow this Arab walks right next to me, and I said to him, hello. He says to me, hello. And we started Insta chat. Just an Insta
You're in the
chat.
middle of a tour.
Well, we were walking. I was walking them back to the tomb of the fathers and mothers.
So you weren't like speaking to the group.
I wasn't speaking to and he goes to me, where's this group from? I go, they're from America. So he turns to them, he goes, hello, everybody. He says.
And you met this guy before?
Never met this guy before. He's there with
How
his kids.
How old is he?
60.
Okay.
And he says, here, Hebron, Jews, Arabs, okay, good, okay. Sometimes little fight, but okay. We here together, Jews, Arabs.
Wow.
Okay. And then he like waves to them. And
wow.
and they gave him
And what
this
happened
look.
to their face?
It took me time to analyze their face, and here's what their face said: bro, you're off script, okay? That is not what you need to be saying to us in front of him. What you need to be saying is occupation,
This
colonialism.
guy is
I can't see my
oppressing me.
mother. Okay, that kind of business.
Wait, were
okay?
you actually walking on the same street?
Yeah, we were walking the same street.
So they weren't barred from walking on that
I
street?
showed them. There was all these Arab kids walking past me. I'm like, New York Times 1 month ago said, or 2 months ago said, that Arab children cannot walk in the streets of Hebron because of the settlers. I'm like, this is so. Look, here it is. Look, here it is. It's like, here's a kid. Touch, it's right there.
Fluff his hair.
Yeah. So anyway, it was really funny stuff. But many, of course, excuse me, most of my tourists right now are just psyched, curious, interested, pilgrimage to Abraham and to Sarah. We talk about matriarchs and patriarchs, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. Just endless people, Jews, non-Jews. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork to connect right now. And it's a very special summer. I call it the summer of VIPs because everybody's like
Nice.
a VIP.
Well, which means if you're coming this summer, then that's you, baby.
That's right, absolutely.
You're the VIP.
Okay, Malka, I want to shift gears for a second and just dedicate the show today to something. Yesterday, I went to a funeral of a very dear friend and somebody who I felt in my heart was about to become a dear friend, and a surprise heart attack of some kind took him out. I had been chatting with him on WhatsApp that very morning, and that is my friend Sam Shmuel Solomon. And he was a rabbi. He was a black belt. He was a great businessman. His full name was Rabbi Shmuel Leib, a son of Avigdor Mordechai. Shmuel Leib ben Avigdor Mordechai, Sam Solomon. He was also a very well-known philanthropist in our parts. He was funny.
Really funny.
Really funny, really cute. He had a little bit himself a Woody Norris thing going on.
Woody Norris.
It's a disease that Israel has, which is one part Chuck Norris, one part Woody Allen. He himself was a kind of combination of Chuck Norris, Woody Allen. But I would actually make him know. You know what? He's like, I would say Chuck Norris / Alan. What's the lawyer? What's
Dershowitz?
Dershowitz. It's like he had a Dershowitz side. And he made he had a very successful business in jury selection, teaching lawyers how to select proper juries. He had the biggest moot court, a fake courtroom in America, and they really taught people how to select juries. And very interesting, very Jewish, And he built a beautiful house here in Eretz Yisrael, and I was just at a wedding that he officiated at.
Officiated the wedding?
He officiated it like a ruv, like a rav.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He did it like b'dikduk with great, caution,
Attention to detail.
Right, attention to detail. It was wonderful. He did such a good job. He was funny and cute and halachic.
Wow. Terrible.
It was truly a terrible
and he was
blow.
such a healthy person and such a lively person. He would show up a lot at English speaker right wing type stuff.
He had an organization called Chetz, which he dealt with a lot of European stuff as well, European jewelry and European cemeteries. And I was about to have him on the show, and I just toured him. Together with some, strong people from America. And I mean, I can only in this kind of situation, I can only have my only nechama, my only solace is that when a person is God forbid, not killed,
right,
and God forbid, he got taken away,
right. Everything's fine.
So Hashem was like, okay. You know what I mean? And I still have his last WhatsApp from me at 6:58 yesterday morning, and then by 9 o'clock he was gone. And I was at the summit at the funeral again here in Eretz Yisrael. I think all over the world, but especially here in Eretz Yisrael. When the body is yet out of the ground, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of almost bitterness. Bitterness at such a loss. And I'll tell you the truth. I felt a bitterness. I did. I really felt a bitterness. I still feel a little bit of bitterness.
Right. Well. Yeah.
I still feel a little bit of bitterness.
It was so unexpected.
Yeah.
And you were kind of looking forward to developing that relationship, and instead it just got
It just got cut off,
and it's one of those things that just seemed kivyachol not to make any sense.
Yeah, it
was like a person who seemed that it was like he had so much more to do.
Yeah,
but evidently not.
Well, I hope that he selects the jury in the sky.
Yes, and, for all of us. Yeah, he's up there selecting the jury in the sky. That's right. I like that.
For all of us sinners.
Yeah.
Down here, and
that's good. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I said to them.
Yeah, but he leaves behind his wife and his children.
That's right. It just hurts. It hurts. Yeah, it hurts, and it felt, frankly, there are people who pass away, and then it's like, wow, what I mean, that's a completed life. A rabbi of mine just passed away just now.
Rabbi Simcha Wasserman.
Chaim Wasserman.
Excuse me, Rabbi Chaim Wasserman.
He passed away. He had a full life.
Right.
He had a full life.
He did a beautiful job. He retired.
He had a full life. So yeah, it's sad, but it's not tragic, and it's not dissatisfied. You know what I mean? There's a satisfaction in.
Hashem knows better.
He does, and he's the boss, and he's the giver of life, and the taker away of life, or the mover honor of life, I think is more correct. Takes away when you're really bad. But the point is that anyway, there's how it is. Death is so final, and so, or at least from our very, very, very limited perspective in this world. In any case, I want to dedicate the show today to Sam Solomon. He was a great Jew. That's what it was. He was just a great Jew. That's really what I mean. That's what I think of him. I think of him as a great Jew. And Rabbi Shmuel Leib ben Avigdor Mordechai in the Shema should have an aliyah. I will say that I have a gut feeling that I'm going to be able to do something nice in his name.
That's nice.
That's my.
I hope so.
I've put it inside as a goal.
Do you know what you want to do?
Well, I'm involved in the Tomb of Ruth and Ishai stuff, and he literally wrote to me 2 hours before he passed away about it.
Right.
So I think that I will.
Maybe we'll be able to.
I'd like to do.
You
something
know what? I don't know if this is significant enough. Maybe you want to do something more, but I feel like we need donations for like new sidurim and chumashim over there, just like things for people to use.
You know what? You're so funny you say that because you just reminded me of something that I totally forgot because there's so many darn things happening every day. Thank Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
2 people asked me yesterday why there are no kippot, yarmulkes, skull caps, or head coverings at the Tomb of Ruth and Ishai. For people to
you should put it in the tunnel.
So 2 men asked me. So I will.
That's nice. Yeah, we should make get Gotti to make a nice wooden box.
I'll tell you something. I'm going to say something which is I'm going to, I could get flack for this.
I hope you don't.
I do not require people on my tours when they go into holy places to put on anything. I don't like to say to women, put on more clothes or anything like that. I don't like that. I don't like no cover your shoulders, and I don't tell men to put on a kippah. I don't do that. I don't do that.
That is your business.
That's your business.
Not you, Ishai. That is you, the person walking in there. That's between you and God, and you make your decisions.
I cannot be telling people what to put on the clothes. It's against my thing. I can't deal with it.
Okay, and so, but he's not saying to do that. He's saying I don't walk around with a kippah and on a regular basis, but when I go to a holy place, I would like to wear one, and I expect you to provide it for me.
That's what he's saying. He's saying I would like that.
Yes, I would like
it. You want that? Good. Very.
Yes.
I should provide that for you.
That's nice. We should.
So anyway, just to thank you for reminding me. I've totally forgot about that. And
we should make chevron kippahs, Ishai.
That's true.
And people could buy them. We should have a tiny vending machine.
Right.
Kippah vending machine. Actually, that's not even a bad idea.
No, how about we just make Hebron Fund kippahs, and people will know. Okay, a few more things, Malka, on the list that I want to discuss with you today. We talked about the Summer of VIPs. We talked about Sam Solomon. Notre Dame we talked about. I am still on my mostly vegan, definitely not plant-based and what do you call it? Not non
like Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, not what's it called? Not processed. Not processed foods.
Clean eating. I don't know. There's so many ways to say it today.
So far, so good. I'm really enjoying it. But I wouldn't be able to do it without you. You know, you are the sweet potato of my life, Malka, and it really helps a lot.
Yes, I made you. I'm trying to make you the foods. I thought it would be a lot harder. You're also, it turns out, not so demanding in the food variety department.
No, I just
I don't have to make you all kinds of cool, creative.
No.
tofu-y things.
No. Anyway, I'm feeling better. I'm losing weight. I still think that my liver is still a little too fatty. If you guys have any, good fatty liver advice, I'm always game for that. So let me know. And of course, I pray for your health out there. And people, folks, you could send me if you need somebody to be prayed for at the Tomb of the Patriarchs and Matriarchs. Send me an email, yishai@yishaifleischer.com. Not a problem. You know what I mean? Even if I mention it one time, yofi. You know what I mean? It's good. And if you want to go and dedicate a show like people have done in the recent weeks, like my friend Tammy who dedicated for Esther Batsara for full recovery. Yofi, let's do that. There's a way to dedicate the show. It's easy. And in any case, the point is
that we had the Silverman birthdays.
Birthdays, that's right. That was really fun.
We love that. We love your email.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. In fact, let's get to that, Malka. Let me get to some listener emails. We got two that I wanted to talk about. First thing, we had a beautiful coffee donation from Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
And Laura bought me 10 coffees at buymeacoffee.com.
That's a lot of coffee.
Yeah, buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Laura writes there, I've been a long-time listener and appreciate how you and Malka invite us into your lives, sharing the land and the love of Israel with the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's right. Very good.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a long-time listener. When I hear that somebody, first of all, I just want you to know, if you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. We are so happy that you're here, and we hope that you will continue to listen. You can always write in with questions, comments, suggestions. And if you are a long-time listener, I have to say, every time that I hear someone's a long-time listener, I'm just like, wow, that is just the coolest. That we have people out there who've been like sharing our lives with us and paying attention to the issues, the same kind of issues that we care about on a regular basis. Just awesome. So it's so great that you're listening. Thank you.
And new listeners, shalom and welcome.
Yes, new listeners, we're very happy. Medium listeners who are neither new nor old.
You're
also
fine
good.
as well. That's right. You're fine as well. Okay. Maka, check out this email that I get. I get weird emails in this world. Hi, Yishai. My name is Gabrielle, and my father is a Palestinian Muslim, and my mother is an Israeli Jew.
Get out of here.
I have a podcast about the collapse of civilization.
Ooh.
I was curious if you would like to be on my show.
What is
and the name of the show is Collapsology. Like collapsology. Okay.
Yeah, you should be on that show.
Of course I'm going to be on that show. But
that
point
sounds
is,
interesting.
I'm like,
wow, we want to hear that story.
I just thought to myself, I have a podcast about the collapse of civilization. Okay. I mean, like,
well, there's, the Jewish history is filled with the collapse of civilization.
I guess so. I think
we don't collapse, and all the other civilizations collapse around us. The end.
My good friend Stephen in Texas writes, Yishai, really liked the segment of the recent Yishai Fleischer podcast episode with the interview of your daughter Leah. One can observe the maturity listening to her thinking and speaking compared to an interview done some months or maybe the last 2 years. It is a praise to God working through you and Malka, reading and applying the truths from the Tanakh and seeing the importance of parenting, teaching and encouraging your kids in God's way of thinking, speaking, and doing life. Shalom from Texas.
Thank you.
I want to second what you just said, Stephen, and that is there's a new sticker in Hebron.
Yeah, like a bumper sticker?
A bumper sticker. It has 2 words in Hebrew. Daberito. Talk to him. In English, 3 words. Talk to him. Just talk to him. And that's one of the things that I so encourage parents to tell their kids. Tell their kids, talk to God. A lot of times when my kids are nervous about something, I'm like, have you prayed about it?
I don't even tell the kids that praying so much. Sometimes I say, did you daven about it? But a lot of times I say to them, did you talk to Hashem about it?
Right. Even better. Nachon. That's right. That's really great. And
not that it's so easy to get answers all the time. I'm not trying, like, let's not be fake here and suggest that when we talk about talking to Hashem, that we feel that like Hashem is just throwing answers at us all the time and that we interpret them all so clearly all the time and always get it right.
Yeah. No, definitely
not.
Definitely not. It's still, it's
a struggle for all human beings.
Yeah. And God talks to us in clues, and he talks to us and there's a reason why God talks to us in clues. And do you know what that reason is?
No.
Because he wants us to make choices.
But I'd rather not.
No, but he wants us to make the choices. He doesn't want us to. And here's a very, very, very human trait. We yearn to abdicate. we yearn to abdicate responsibility. The number one most important word in human life is responsibility. And the opposite of that, which is the human tendency, is to abdicate responsibility. And that's why we have so many cognitive biases. We have tons of cognitive biases. There's books on cognitive biases. You can, by the way, just look it up in Wikipedia. Worth it to just look it up. The cognitive
there's
biases.
A fascinating list of cognitive biases if you go onto, I think, Wikipedia.
Yeah. And
you're like, whoa. One of the ones I learned about recently that a lot of like more mainstream people are talking about now is called normalcy bias, where you're like, well, it's normal today, so it'll be normal tomorrow. Wrong. That is a bias. It does not have to be that way.
There's many biases, and part of that is because we're afraid to make decisions. We're afraid to take responsibility, to think something through, and therefore we want to abdicate. And working a problem through with God, with praying about it. And Rav Arush says that the reason that we pray for something is so that when we get it, we know it wasn't our strength that did it. Very important. One more listener email, Monica. And
I just want to say, though, that another listener, Gabriela Michel from Switzerland, also wrote into me that she liked Leah's interview, Yishai. So we got to tell Leah that she did a good job.
That's right. Well, it was interesting. She actually wanted to be on the show.
Yeah, she really wanted to be on the show. She likes being with you guys.
Tammy from Colorado writes, "Hi, Yishai. My favorite show are those with Malka. She always makes me laugh real hard, at least once. Today,
oh, man, that's so great."
She goes, "Today was, we have paprika." That's what she said last week. 3 smiley cry faces. Leah was great, too. So smart, so sweet, and a delightful sense of humor. You are blessed, and you bless all of us listening. Wow. Thank you. I'm also from Colorado, like Ryan, whose letter you read on the show, Tammy in Colorado.
You guys should be friends.
Absolutely. Oh, Tammy and Ryan.
Tammy and Ryan.
Absolutely. That really happens a lot. That happens a lot that I meet like people. I'm like, do you guys know one another? You should. And because if you like me, if you both of you like me,
you guys should definitely get to know each other.
If you both like me, you probably have similar things that you like. Right. So, not everybody likes me.
What? No.
It's true. It's really true.
Can't be.
Yep. I'm loved in Europe though. What do you call it? Fine. So okay, Malka, let's wrap things up.
All right.
You have a big day.
Well, speaking of wrapping things up.
Yep.
We're wrapping up the school year.
Yes.
Here in the land of Israel.
Yes.
We had a little bit of a rocky ending here because over the last, let's say, 7 days of school, there were 3 days where the teachers went on strike. And it's really the teachers union went on strike.
Right.
So therefore the teachers went on strike.
Right.
And I have to say, on the one hand, I support the teachers, and I am always incredulous that education is not valued more and given more money. I think that you put money into the things that are the most important, and what is more important than the education of the children? It seems to me like that is just one of the most important things that there is. On the other hand, I felt I'm just being totally honest, okay? Because this is the show where you guys get to see inside our life. I felt such a rage inside. I was so angry. And I was kind of watching myself be so, when you try to have self-awareness. So I was watching myself be so angry. I'm like, girl, you too angry, right? This is not a reasonable amount of angry. And the reason that the teachers have to strike at the end of the year is because they have to make it known to the government how severely they want this thing and what they're ready to do in order to get pay increases and things like that. But I really felt that it was exploiting the kids, right? Which are the students of these people. But that's the nature of the beast, right? In order to protest, they have to not teach. And then I realized that the reason I felt so angry inside is because of the last 2 years of COVID.
Right.
And all the things that the kids had to miss. So many parties. Alea was 12 during COVID. It was bat mitzvah year. There were lots of bat mitzvahs that didn't happen. It was supposed to be a year filled with parties every week of girls having their bat mitzvahs. That was minimalized to a large degree. Yisrael received his first ever Sidur, his own Sidur. Parents weren't invited to that. I couldn't go. I sat home literally crying as he got his Sidur and I wasn't able to see. And just all these things, right, his prayer book. And there were just all these things that I felt we had been, and the kids had been locked out of and like denied. And then to think that they were going to be denied their last days of school in like a nice, happy atmosphere in which they're, you know how the last days of school are. It's like fun. They do fun activities and field days and parties and like, you know, fun stuff. And that they were going to have it taken away from them. It sent me into like such an anger. And I had to like I was really fighting it. Anyway, the teachers are back from strike. And the last two days of school are going to be the way they're supposed to be. The kids are at school today, so I'm happy. But I see I carry around a little bit of the COVID trauma.
I want to tell you that I was amazed at Leia's like 8th grade stuff. Like they put on a play that lasted an hour with like it was an incredible
with like
play.
Actually good directing, like
serious
and
play,
a good
serious music, everything. Then she came out with this 8th grade like booklet,
like a yearbook.
The yearbook. What a job!
Beautiful
they did.
yearbook.
Oh my God! I was thinking
the kids
myself,
designed it themselves.
I know. I was like, I don't think that we were.
They're like 14,
right? I don't think we were anything approaching this level when I was a young boy in America.
Well, the technology has advanced so much. It
it
used to be that who could sit down at a computer and do something like that? You need like a serious professional. For
anyway,
that.
I don't know.
There's like Canva and stuff like that.
They did a great job. These kids, they really did, and they are set to be productive people. Oh, listen, that's it. We cannot finish this segment with that story that you finished that you told right now about the rage and the school year.
Let's not. Yeah,
and it's a good point, and I appreciate it. But I must tell you, you just reminded me about how I want to finish up this part of the show.
Okay.
I recently volunteered to tour the IDF cadets for the officers corps. No, not officers corps, for the cadets for the next officers in Israel. Okay, there's a famous officer school. It's called Barachad, and everybody goes to that when you want to be an officer in the army. That's how you have to start. You start at Barachad, and I was going to tour them. I went to tour them, and I toured them at 7 in the morning. 7 in the morning. They left Barachad in the Negev at 4:30 in the morning. They got there anyway. Awesome. And I had a great time, and I started the tour off right. First, I asked them about themselves. By the way, this is the most important thing in a tour, friends, I find, is first, you tell me about yourself. I say, why are you here today? Tell me. Tell me why are you here? Who are you? Tell me. If it's 100 people, I still make them mostly tell me.
Wow.
Because it's important. Because then you establish that I want to hear from you,
right, and
that we have a rapport. It's not a frontal, I'm giving over stuff. It's like we're in conversation, and I care about you, and I understand you. Oftentimes I tell people, I know where you're from, and this, that. I understand. Okay. Anyway, I give this tour, and I do my thing, and they're all happy. But they keep saying to me, is there going to be time for prayer? Is there going to be time for prayer? I'm like, yes.
Was this a religious unit?
Absolutely not. It wasn't a unit. It was a course. And they were
so
not
it's for
religious
people
looking.
From all different
all
kinds
parts
of
the army, all kinds of, and anyway, all kinds. And I started seeing that they really wanted to pray. Then when there was time inside the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs to put on tefillin, if there was an opportunity to put on, the Jewish
phylacteries.
prayer. The word phylacteries.
I don't know where that comes from.
Who
invented that word?
It's not a good word.
What is a phylactery?
It's an avodah zarah word. That's the
is
truth.
it?
Yes. It's not. It's
what
not,
do you mean?
It's like a charm. It's like it's not the right word.
Stop.
Yeah. It's an incorrect. It's an incorrect word. Don't use it. So tefillin it is. It's just tefillin. Just like, it's a tefillin. So okay. So everything is fine, and they're having a good time. And I even allowed myself, although they warned me not to get political, I said a few gentle political things. Political messaging of strong Jewish rights. That's
all right.
it.
That's not so political.
We did a great job. We had a great time with them. And then at the end, they're now I always don't know all these terms exactly. Hold on one second. I want to look up Google Translate for a second. Okay, so she had 3 bars as an officer. She was the commander of that group, and she was a seren, a captain. Okay, and she says to me, "Are you finished?" I said, "Yes." She thanked me, and everybody clapped. Everybody was happy. Great. And then she gave him this tiny little speech, and it went like this. She goes, "This week's Torah portion was Shlach. And in the Torah portion of Shlach, we learned about the spies that went into the land. And they returned with a bad report. 10 of them returned with a bad report, but 2 came back with a good report on the land of Israel. And they fought against the other 10. And then they led the nation back into the land of Israel. Where do they get the strength? It was because of their connection to this place, to the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs, to the connection to our history, connection to our to where we come from. And now we, as IDF officers, are going to need that strength. And that's why we came here today, to connect with this place.
Wow, that's what she said?
Yeah, I'm telling you. I was like, OMG. I had my hair stood up on end. And I was just like, wow. I couldn't believe it. She rocked them. And she looked like the prophetess Devorah. She was like, she was just had that Hebrew commanding presence. And I was just like, and she still looked like she was going to be a mom and everything else at the same time. You know what I mean? She was like
Devorah was a mom.
Yeah, I'm saying she was a strong Jewish woman. That's all I'm trying to say with the simple terms. And I was just like, wow. And when they left, I felt to myself that whatever you see in the news is not the real thing. That's just the topsoil. That's just the covering on the top. But underneath it is rising a generation of faith, of strength, of belief. And I was like, wow, like it's not what you see is what you get out there. It's not what we see on top. It's really, that's just a crust on top, but it's not the real thing. Okay, there's a magma underneath it all, and it is going in the right direction. And I was given heart. I was given strength.
That's awesome.
I was given strength. I want to give you guys strength out there. Oh, Malka, we got to add one more last thing here. Very big news. This Yishai Fleischer Israel podcast show that you're listening to is now joining the Israel365.com family.
Wow, Mazal Tov.
I'm very excited about that, and I've been in negotiation with them, and they are doing a great job reaching out to the world, and also especially to folks that I call the International Torah Congregation.
Community.
Or I was going to say either congregation, community, or council. Or
A council sounds a little Elders of Zion.
That's right. I'm saying now you guys can all have membership to the Elders of Zion. All I'm saying is that the International Torah community, that's non-Jews around the world that want to be part of the Torah that comes from Zion, and it's for Jews that want to be connected to the Torah that comes from Zion, from Zion. And it was my birthday last week, and as I was leaving for a big long day, I hit the radio and we heard that what's her name?
Lauren Hill.
Lauren Hill. She was like, what did she say? The joy of my world is in Zion, right? So I was like, yes. So I just want to thank the folks there, and I'm very excited to be part of the Israel 365 family. Part of the Israel 365 family is also Israel365.com is the Israel Bible, found at theisraelbible.com, a great product. With Hebrew English, with transliteration, with a commentary about the land of Israel specifically, edited by my friend Rabbi Tully Weiss, who's the head of Israel 365. And also now joining the team is Rabbi Eli Michel and Shlomo Schreibman. Those guys are putting together a great team of content.
Wow, that's exciting.
And a connection to the world. And the Yishai Fleischer Israel podcast is going to be a part of that world as well. I'm very excited about that. So I want to thank Hashem for that. And I want to urge you to check out Israel365.com and all the stuff that they do and sign up for their emails. And it's great fun. I also want to thank the good folks, of course, at the Hebron Fund, the Jewish community of Hebron. We keep the mamas and the papas in Hebron safe and strong. Check out our site. Come on our best English language tour, Hebronfund.com/tour. And of course, you can support our continued efforts to beautify and strengthen Hebron. And that beautifies and strengthens the rest of Israel as well. I want to thank the good folks at Prohibition Pickle for being so non-prohibitive in their pickling, okay? And allowing us to have great Ashkenazi snacks for Shabbat and keep us all in a kiddish state of mind. That's right. I'm in a kiddish state of mind.
That's good. That would make a good shirt for them.
That would make a good shirt for them. Kiddish state of mind. Check out their wonderful website. So many websites. prohibitionpickle.co.il. Check out jewishpress.com. They put out our show, and we're also part of the Jewish Press family. They put out our show. They put out a great email called the Jewish Express. Check that out, jewishpress.com. A great content about the latest news and issues coming out of Israel. What else? Oh, yeah, J Brick. They put out awesome Jewish Legos. and I have
Very cute.
I have a project I have to. In fact,
they have lots of little cute projects that your kids can make over the summertime.
Like a tzedakah box made out of Lego.
A mezuzah, that's really cool.
A mezuzah made out of Lego. My son, Elazar, boy's room, has a Lego
he made
mezuzah.
the mezuzah case, and we put a cloth inside, and that's the mezuzah on
That's
our
right.
boy's door.
So cool. Can't beat that. So thank Hashem for that. I want to thank all the folks that donate through buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. It's just that easy. It's like $5 for coffee. It's this way to show some appreciation for the show and to buy me a coffee. And I appreciate the folks that give through that.
Right. And we have donors who give regularly on a monthly basis.
That's right.
Through YishaiFleischer.com.
Or through buymeacoffee.com.
Or through Buy Me a Coffee, right?
Right.
But I really want to encourage people to go check out your website, Yishai. You have a very nice website. And for people who like to listen, you can go through and you can see the archives of like everything. You can go back and click on stuff and listen through and see what we were doing on this this day a year ago, and go enjoy all of our great content.
That's right. I want to thank Hashem for this great time, and I want to urge you to come to Israel on a trip. This is the time to do it. Buy a piece of property. I had a group yesterday of good folks from LA, and they're like, Aliyah, yes, we kind of want to do it, but this, that, my practice, this, that. I said, buy a piece of property.
It's not getting cheaper.
And the kids were like, yes, see, we told you. And the wife is like, I told you. And I'm like, and I looked at them like, I know you. If the wife says I told you, like, you would do it. And I'm like, really? And he's like, no, I told her. And anyway, I said to them, just
do it then.
Just buy a piece of property here in the land of Israel. And of course, always urge you to imbibe the land of Israel through the wines, through the soft drinks, through the Beastlies.
You can get Beastly on Amazon.
Beastly on Amazon. Do that. Just don't even.
You're going on a road trip with the family. Probably not because gas is so expensive. But let's say for a second that you're going on a road trip.
I heard Reform Jews are walking to shul.
The gas prices. Gas prices are so bad. Even Reform Jews are walking to shul.
That's it. I'll be here all week. Anyway.
Yes. But you can, you can take some Beastly on the road.
That's right. All right, folks, you are listening to the Yishai Fleischer Show. Lots of love, lots of blessings, lots of good stuff. There's more on the show. I don't even know what it's going to be. We're going to see what was going to happen the next.
Surprise for us all.
That's right, surprise. So stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected. More great stuff is on the way. Thank you to Ben Bresky, Yocheved, Moshe Herman, Tabitha, and Lou when we're live for getting the show out to the world. More great stuff. We'll be back. Maka Fleischer, you're the best.
Have a great summer.
Shabbat shalom and lots of love and shalom.
Don't worry. The Yishai Fleischer Show will be right back, so stay tuned.
All right, folks, we are back here on the Yishai Fleischer Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. And thanks to all the folks that make the show happen, including yourself. I'm so honored and proud to be broadcasting on your walk, in your dishwashing, in your car, wherever you're doing your thing. And it's a schut. And if you're with your kids, then I want to say hi to your kids and God bless you guys. And the kids are, the kids of the show, the kids that listen to the show and are part of it, that makes it, very special. And you guys are awesome. And next generation, it's all about the next generation. We got to be passing our thing on. It's, whatever we've succeeded, if we can't pass it on, then it doesn't work. A generation who doesn't have it, we lose it for a long time. And speaking of that, somebody who's a great raiser of the next generation is my buddy Jake Bennett, who's in town right now. He's usually found on shlichut, on emissary duty, out in Arizona and flying all around the United States, doing great work also for the IAC, for the Israel-America Coalition.
Coalition for Action. IAC
Coalition for Action. That's right, Coalition for Action. And you are deadly tired because you have been going straight on this trip here in America, from America, in Israel, hardcore, haven't been sleeping a lot and been seeing a lot of things. Tomorrow you're going to an Air Force museum. An Air Force base. That's right, an Air Force, full-on Air Force base. I'm a little jealous of that. You've been, and not only that, I know exactly where you've been today because you've been getting your hands dirty in Hebron, building retaining walls and doing stuff. You were like in. I was touring other people. You were with me. I'm like, Jake, put on your good shoes and get in there and build these walls with the masons. Right?
Absolutely. That was my first time working with stonemasons, and I loved it. It was great. We're working on the Kever Ruth v'Yishai, the tomb of Ruth and Yishai. Yishai is King David's dad, and Ruth was was his great-grandmother.
That's
His
right.
great-grandmother. Right. The grandma of Yishai. So right there in Hebron. And it was a beautiful thing. And as we're moving dirt and making these beautiful terraces for this courtyard area right outside, right in between the two Beit Knesset, the two synagogue areas, we're finding shards of ancient pottery, Byzantine probably.
Byzantine's a long time ago. That's 1,500 years ago.
Yeah.
And there were Jews in Israel and certainly in Hebron, these places. Some people say that the real exile of the Jews from the land of Israel actually came in the Muslim period. Because remember, the Byzantine period, it's important to remember, that's when the Mishnah is written in the land of Israel. And then even later on in the late Byzantine period, that's already when even the Jerusalem Talmud is written in the land of Israel. There are Jews in the land of Israel. The first Muslim invasion comes in, and they really kick the Jews out. And the Jews are and the place is basically desolate. They make it inhabitable. I like to think that the real hardcore galut, which does not mean, I don't mean the feeling of being exiled. I'm talking about really being exiled from the land is really, its hardcoreness is 1,000 years.
Wouldn't you say, though, there's two phases to that exile? Because the first phase was the Roman exile from Jerusalem.
Right.
So they allowed the Jews to move to Yavne to write the Mishnah and Gemara.
And they went to the north.
So that exile from Jerusalem was an exile from service at the temple. And
the temple was destroyed.
The temple was destroyed. We were pushed out of Jerusalem. And I think that was the beginning of a new phase in Jewish life. But as you say,
you're totally right, and it was a kind of, let's call it a chesed, a kindness, that in that phase of Jewish life, there were hundreds of years where Jews were getting ready for full-on exile, and also the Torah of the temple had basically been invalidated, erased, it rendered inactionable, and so the Jews sat down at Yavne and in the north to write down the law, to get it ready for travel, to get ready for disbursement, dispersion, okay? But the real dispersion lasted, let's say, I'll say like this, from like the year 500 to the year 1500, right?
So they were creating this portable suitcase for Jewish civilization and culture that we could take with us. And as I was sitting today with you for Mincha service, a minyan at the Marat Machpelah, the tomb of the mamas and papas, the Jewish family tomb, and we're reading Mincha, and we're reading about the service at the temple. It reminded me that I wonder, I think a lot of people in our generation are so used to morning, afternoon, evening service, and the liturgy that was created during that period that you were just talking about a moment ago, that they feel comfortable that replaced what we were told to do. But when you read what the Mincha liturgy is actually telling you, it's a complete instruction of what is supposed to be done, what we're supposed to do, what Hashem commanded of us.
You know, my mom is not only a Temple Mount activist, but also a guide. She went pro on Temple Mount, okay?
I know.
And I just had a birthday. One of the things that I blessed my mom with, I said to her, is that not only should you know where the places are and all the history of these things, I bless you to also know the real action of the temple life. I'll be honest with you, I wish I had a mentor for this stuff. It's not easy, and it's not exactly, visual. You don't always understand, or let's put it this way: you need visual aids in order to understand it. A real consciousness of the temple. But one thing I have in my heart, which is, if I don't know all of the temple laws and its machinations, I know there are people that do, and that gives me a lot of nachas. That gives me a lot of feeling good in my heart because I know them. I know these people. And in fact, when I lived on the Mount of Olives, I was surrounded by those kind of people. I miss that because there were some real Talmidei Chachamim over there.
Speaking of which, I toured Mount of Olives early this morning with your old neighbor, Josh Wander.
And pal, Josh Wander.
Yes, guy. Neighbor and pal.
That's right.
And
teacher. I've learned a lot from him, so I should not just call him a pal. He's a real teacher.
Yeah, he made the good point that a lot of people in this generation are studying closely for the sake of learning so that they would be prepared when the day comes that the Beit HaMikdash is rebuilt. And he took me to a spot I had not been to before that was really special that I had read about. There's a story in the Gemara of it's, I believe it's Rabbi Hillel and friends standing at a point somewhere on the hillside, looking across the valley at the Har Bayit and the place of the Beit HaMikdash, and Josh
the Temple Mount,
the Temple
and the place of the Holy of Holies.
Yes,
right.
And Josh took me to this place, and he pointed out to me, notice over here there's no graves and no one's buried here. This is all bedrock. Everywhere else there's soil.
Right.
This is bedrock. And he said this is the place which is described in the Gemara, in the Talmud, as the place where the Parah Adumah, the red heifer, would be shechted for the purification ceremony. And it needed to be on bedrock.
Is this part of the Dominos Flevit?
Yes.
Kind of. It's not a cathedral, not a church. It's a pew, I think, and it's like a chapel.
Right, so a Christian,
it's a Christian
site has been built around this place, and he said that,
and there's like a special little chapel there. You could see it. It's got like a brown dome, and it's got also some Canaanite graves, pre-Jewish graves.
That I didn't see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's got all kinds of cool stuff. And you're right, there's bedrock there.
He pointed out that the reason that they would do it on the bedrock was that they didn't want the blood from the Parah Adumah, the red heifer, to seep down into the graves to create some kind of an impurity for the graves. So they would do it in this place, this bedrock. And it was a remarkable view, so close. I mean, so close you could see the Har Bayit, the Temple Mount.
Well, that's the idea. When you did the Parah Adumah, the red heifer, when you prepared it, you, according to the Talmud, you had to be able to glance right into the Holy of Holies. And there's like endless math in the Talmud of like how many cubits and handbreadths, and exactly could you peer, it's under this gate, over this gate, could you peer into the Holy of Holies? You had to be able to do it. It's interesting that we're talking about this because this week's Torah portion in Israel is Chukat, which begins with the issues of the red heifer. And then it goes on to many stories, including the famous hitting of the rock, and therefore the news that Moses and Aaron are not going to go into the land, and thereby also presaging that there's going to be the death. And then inside the Torah portion, both Miriam and Aaron pass away. Aaron passes away with great, like a very dramatic scene, because Moses, Aaron, and Eleazar go up the mountain, and Moses and Eleazar come down. Now he's wearing the priestly clothes, and the nation's like, where's Aaron? And they're like, they know that their beloved peacemaker, they're like the lover, you know what I mean? The one who creates love is up on the mountain, maybe where the Arabs say it is, which is an area of above Petra, in a place called Jabal Aharun, the mountain of Aaron. I've been there with my mom. So here's my theory. Why does the Torah portion begin with the red heifer? And one of Yishai's patented theories about Judaism is that much of Judaism is actually dedicated to longevity, eternity, continued vivaciousness and vitality. The fact that in Judaism the same word for victory is the same word as eternity, netzach, and that
I've always found that interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, because if we didn't beat you on the battlefield, we'll beat you in the long run. And the reason we'll do that is because there are things embedded into Judaism that keep us plugged in tight to God, and thereby keep going through the generations. And that's the marvelous thing that Mark Twain wrote about. He's like, that is a mystery. What is his secret? Writes Mark Twain. And there's a way to describe that thing. That's the red heifer. The red heifer is the Jewish power to defeat the energy of death. And the Torah lays out, it's like, listen, I got a secret to tell you. This is how we beat death energy. So you got this death energy on you. I can help you beat that. Here's the way to do it. And the truth is, it's almost like a broader topic, which is Judaism has a lot of ways to beat the death energy. Don't eat the pig. Wash your hands in the morning. Keep your sexual life in a very tight and not too licentious path. Keep the Sabbath. There's all these things that keep you healthy emotionally. This not pass it on from generation to generation. All kinds of things that we do in order to pass it on and to remain alive forever, not individually but as a nation. And that's exactly what we needed to hear before we were told that Miriam and Aaron and Moses were going to die. Because if you hear that, you're like, wow, this is a heartbreaker. Wow, the big stars are going down. That means the whole thing is set. The sunset is setting. You know what I mean?
You got to balance that transformation, that big change for the community with a message of hope and life.
That's right. And eternity.
Yeah.
Eternity / victory. Netzach.
I'll tell you, it's a little piece of trivia and kind of off topic, but I have a tradition with my kids at home on Shabbat. We get elite milk chocolate, which has a picture of a cow on it,
right?
And it comes with red packaging, and the slang term for that chocolate is paraduma,
right?
Right, like red heifer, but it's milk chocolate in a red wrapper.
Israeli milk chocolate.
Israeli milk chocolate. So we bring a little piece of Israel and sweetness to the home, and on Shabbat.
Where do you get it?
We get it at the local supermarket. They sell it at a lot of supermarkets around Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
So just a fun little.
That's great. You know what? You just totally added something to like something that we always talk about in the book of Bereshit. A lot of times we're like, this Shabbat, have a rainbow. Like Rav Mike Four has a rainbow meal, or
right,
things
for Noah's Ark. For Noah's Ark, he does the
things from Shechem, or what else do we do? Gosh. Or we go to places like ladder, like okay, this is the Shabbat of the ladder, so make a challah that's shaped like a ladder, or that kind of thing, like live the parsha. So I love what you're saying. This week's Torah portion. Now in America, it's the previous Torah portion. It's Korach, and that's the Torah portion where Aaron stands between the plague. He like walks into the plague. In order to show the love of his love for the Jewish people, he stands between the dead and the living, and he walks in the middle of death in order to stop it by bringing what's it called, incense to God.
Ketoret. Yeah, he's a dedicated public servant who puts his people above his own well-being. He risks his own life. And he's a model that public servants today need to look at.
That's
more.
right. But at the same time, you know what? He also made a mistake earlier, and that is his love of the Jewish people caused him to succumb a little bit to their like demands, and that's the red heifer,
golden calf.
That's right. Excuse me, the golden calf. Right, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny I said that because the rabbis are like the golden calf. The red heifer is a tikkun, a fixing for the golden calf. The golden calf is licentiousness. It's now. It's pleasure now, right? The red heifer is about eternity. It's about the Jewish way to beat the energy of death. So there's like a fixing going on here. But you're adding, I think, a great thing, which is this Shabbat, buy that elite red chocolate. What's it going to be called if people look for it on Amazon or something? What's that called?
Oh, just look up elite milk chocolate. You buy a chocolate bar.
That's it.
It's good quality stuff. It's the paraduma, and I have it with my kids every Shabbat, and it's just it's a reminder of Yerushalayim and the need to rebuild the temple, and that's the commandments that the Torah gives us are eternal, and the temple is not supposed to be just a fairy tale. It's a goal. It's something that we should be working towards.
That's so great, and you can get all that from just having an elite milk chocolate, the red heifer. Great. That's great stuff. Speaking of chocolate, another form of chocolate is found in ice cream oftentimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Ben and Jerry's, that's like the ice cream that it's one of the ice creams. When I was a kid, it was different, but like, okay, now like that's the ice cream of our time. And
Big news today.
Big news today, right? And you were highly involved, along with Joe Sabag, who we're going to have on the show next week, and other people that are here involved. And I was watching that on one of the lists that I'm at, Mark Zell, who's I think the head of
Mark Zell and Eliza Lewin,
lawyers
of the Louis D. Brandeis Center for Human Rights under Law, were represented Avi Zinger, who's the Israeli licensee of Ben & Jerry's, who's been building that brand here in this country since 1987. And almost exactly a year ago, he was asked by Unilever to stop selling to Jews in Judea and Samaria. And the funny thing is, while this is a part of that infamous international anti-Semitic BDS hate movement, Avi Zinger said no. He said Israeli law says I got to sell everywhere. In Israel, you can't do that, and he didn't want to boycott the Jews here in Judea and Samaria either. But Unilever said, well, we've got no control over this. It's Ben & Jerry's Social Action Committee. They get to say what happens. But what we saw and what we learned within a couple of days, as we saw a public spat between that Social Action Board of Ben & Jerry's and Unilever, the parent company, was that in fact the Ben & Jerry's board wanted to boycott all of Israel. And Unilever did intercede already, from the get-go, and limited it to a smaller boycott. But this has been a big fight over the past 12 months. It triggered anti-BDS laws, with which we've been very involved in that legislation. My colleague Joe Sabag wrote the very first anti-BDS law in 2015, and over the course of the last 12 months, a number of states have divested from Unilever. They've suffered, even though their sales have been up and their profits have been up by 5%, they've suffered an almost 25% decline in their stock price. Company that's $150 billion multinational company lost about $30 billion worth of value, all as a result of them triggering these anti-discrimination laws that exist in 36 U.S. states, all for a little company. It's like the tail wagging the dog. Ben & Jerry's was about a $2.2 billion subsidiary of this giant $150 billion company, and yet they managed to erase some $30 billion worth of value from this giant company. And over the course of all of this, Arizona divested, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, etc. Unilever claimed throughout that they didn't have the ability to overrule Ben & Jerry's. We worked with a couple of Ivy League law professors, Fried and Weber, who did an examination of the acquisition agreement from 2000, who saw that, in fact, Unilever did have the ability on things that affected trade and the business to overrule that Social Action Board. We had we helped resource state treasurers and CFOs who wrote letters to Unilever asking them to reverse course, and they claimed that they had no ability to do so. But 2 weeks ago, that lawsuit that you mentioned, on behalf of Avi Zinger, the Israeli licensee of Ben & Jerry's, went to Unilever, and our anticipation was that on the basis of those letters from state CFOs and attorneys general, that Unilever would fail in their efforts to dismiss the case, and that B, it was going to get to the point of discovery, at which point they would have to share their internal documents and communications with regards to this boycott, and it was going to become very clear the anti-Semitism and bigotry behind this boycott, and we expected them to reverse course. We didn't know what shape that would take or how that would look. Would they fire the board of Ben & Jerry's Social Action Committee? Would they just overrule them? In fact, they ended up doing something much more elegant and beautiful, and this came out just today, where they said they asserted the ability that we knew that they had, that Weber and Fried pointed out, to say this is a business decision, this is not for the Social Action Committee, and they licensed the Ben & Jerry brand to Avi Zinger so that he can continue selling Ben & Jerry's to all of Israel. And that's it. They took it out of that Social Action Committee's
They actually
hands.
gave it to him like in toto. They gave him like in perpetuity. Like they basically licensed out that thing, and it's like they're like, here you go, do whatever you want, and we're out of this thing. And in some sense, it's like even a bigger win that was kind of expected.
It was a beautiful and elegant solution.
I'll read what Mark Zell wrote. He wrote, the crux of the deal is that Avi Zinger now owns forever the right to manufacture, sell, and distribute Ben & Jerry's products in Israel, Judea, and Samaria, and all the territories. This was a huge defeat for the BDS forces. The principal condition is that Avi Zinger can only manufacture, sell, etc. under the Ben & Jerry's logo in Hebrew and or Arabic. By the same token, Unilever is prohibited from exploiting the English logo in Israel, Judea and Samaria, and the territories. Avi gets a perpetual right to use all product formulations, etc. And Ben & Jerry's packaging, including the famous Woody Cow. Avi has manufactured this ice cream now since 1987 under a renewable license, but now he has the right to do so in perpetuity. In other words, he now owns the business outright. This is huge.
I'm in.
BDS never expected such a result. Their campaign completely backfired.
So the BDS hate movement, which has been trying to...
I notice you don't say the BDS movement. You add this word in the hate movement.
Because a lot of people don't know what it is. So, let's just be clear. Yes, I always call it the BDS hate movement because that's what it is. It's a movement whose goal is just to spread hate of Israel. That's when it comes to boycott, divestment, sanctions, really they've had little to no economic impact, but they don't care because that is a tool, that's a tactic. What's their goal? Their goal is to isolate Israel, to alienate people from Israel, and they use these. It's
a narrative. It's a narrative war with this economic tool. It's one of the subsidiaries of the narrative war. Mm-hmm. It is in fact a way to bully people who want to be friends with Israel.
That's a key word, by the way. You just said bully, because when they defend their movement, they say, "Hey, this is our free speech. We're free speech people." But they're the opposite of that. How do they try to achieve their economic boycotts? They're not asking people to go out and make business based on their own convictions. They try to bully businesses into boycotting not just Israel, but companies that do business with Israel. It's a bullying campaign. Right. That's one of their strongest tactics that they use. That's how they got Airbnb about 5 years ago to boycott Jews only in Judea and Samaria. They were willing to do business with Arabs, but that was the nature of their boycott.
Right. And all that is to besmirch Israel's name at the end or make people afraid. People don't know this. I try to explain this sometimes, but fear is a narrative. Be afraid to talk about Israel. Be afraid to go to Israel. Be afraid to connect with Israel. Be afraid to fly the flag of Israel. Mm-hmm. That is a narrative that they want out there. It's
mafia intimidation.
Right,
it's a mafia-style intimidation.
That's right.
Intimidation and coercion.
And yet today, Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, we can celebrate L'chaim with some red heifer elite chocolate and with some Ben & Jerry's. What is their flavors called? The chocolate Choco Maco? I don't know what it is.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. I think every bite of Ben & Jerry's is going to taste sweeter this weekend because somewhere curled up in the fetal position, sucking their thumb, is the head of Ben & Jerry's social action board, who's an Israel hater extraordinaire. Who talks, on her own website, you can go and see it. She talks about needing to end the occupation of 1948 of all Jews in Israel.
By the way, if you ever deal with an occupation person, just first thing just say to them, when does the occupation start? They'll tell you their truth, which was 1948, which what they mean is Israel in toto is what they want to get rid of. Let's just be real. There's no two-state solution business.
Don't even use that expression. You know what? I've been telling people for a while, this phrase two-state solution is itself a kind of a manipulation. It's a partition plan. Call it a partition plan because that's what it is. Because it's not exactly two states because we already had a partition.
What do I win when I say partition plan?
What do you win? You win not promoting the misleading nature of this word two-state. What are they saying when two-state? They're trying to say that the Palestinians don't have a state. But, hey, they got a state in 1922 when they got 3/4 of the mandate for a Jewish state. Number
talking
one.
about Jordan.
Talking about Jordan.
Yeah, sure, Jordan.
Jordan. That was the original partition plan.
Right.
But what you learn from this history of the last 100 years is that the idea of two-state, of partition as a solution, first it was, frankly, a British fantasy, and then it became a Jewish fantasy, because the other side is not interested in a solution that includes Jewish sovereignty in any part of the land of Israel. How do you know that? You read what they write, you listen to what they say, you watch their TV, etc. There's been a consistent message on the other side that there's no room for a Jewish state. That's so right. This two-state solution that lies in that are, one, it's not two states. There's how many Arab states? 21 plus they want another one. And the other is that it's not a solution because it doesn't solve what the other side wants.
And number 3, which is they're not really calling for that.
Right.
Look at their and
the
this
other
is the most
side
important.
rejects it.
Look at their paraphernalia. The paraphernalia.
Yeah.
The Mahmoud Abbas, may God take him from this world. He stood in front of a giant Palestine mosaic map thing in Tunis, where they opened up a so-called Palestinian embassy. And again, I point this out, its borders were the full land of Israel. So they're calling for utter destruction.
Consistently, and they haven't stopped. Look at within 2 weeks of the signing of Oslo, where was Arafat? He was in South Africa giving a speech in Arabic, saying to the people, this is not a two-state solution, this is a two-stage solution.
Right.
First we get our state, then we destroy the Jewish state.
Right.
And everyone saw it, everyone knew it, and people made excuses for him because this is the willful self-delusion.
Right.
When your enemy says, I do not denounce my enmity and my war against those people and I will destroy them, and you say, well, he's just got to say that for his base, you've got a problem.
Right. Or I had this, as I mentioned in the first part of the show, I had this group of Notre Dame folks, and they're just like, they say to me, they're like, why do you use this term jihadism? We met a lot of Palestinians who just want to live side by side with Israel, and we didn't hear anybody say that they want the whole land and they want to ethnically cleanse you guys. So I'm like, here's a photo of a recent keychain that I bought from a kid. Okay, this is what they're putting out there. The kids are selling this. This is the mantra, and so don't. And I mean, and the haters just wouldn't take it. But the bottom line is, I showed it to them prima facie that this is what's really going on. In any case, though, but there are moments, and I've seen in my lifetime the time that UNESCO lost, and the United States pulled out of UNESCO because of an anti-Hebron decision. At the time when all the anti-BDS laws in the United States, promulgated by amazing people, including Joe Sabag and Eugene Kontorovich and your hard work and Mark Zell and all these good folks kicked in, and in fact these guys have ice cream on their face, right? Am I right? The whole thing just turned around to them, and for like just Bible believing people, it's like, I will curse those who curse you. You know what I mean? It was like this did not work out well for the BDS folks, and it worked out very well.
It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah, it's a cautionary
for the
tale.
next big company.
Yeah.
that gets strong-armed and bullied and coerced into promoting discrimination against Jews and discrimination against Israel.
Now we have to also do that war on the many other fronts of the narrative war, and there are many. There are fronts against the Bible, and there are fronts against archaeology, and there are fronts against a Jewish state, and there are fronts against the land of Israel as it's being taken away. And you guys, put up a great and victorious fight against BDS, but we got to put up a fight just like that, if not much stronger, to hold on to the land of Israel, because it's being stolen from underneath our fingers, and we can't allow that to happen. God forbid, can't allow that to happen. Jake Bennett, I want to thank you so much for putting up that beautiful terrace wall today in Hebron and getting your fingers dirty and your shoes dirty with mortar.
I had my whole body dirty.
You were dirty. Yeah.
When I got in the shower, the dirt ran down the tub to the drain.
Did you keep washing it so it doesn't get stuck in the?
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing's clogged up there. But
and what's mortar in Hebrew?
Oh boy, I'll tell you, that's a word I had to ask the stonemason many times because it just wouldn't stick.
Do you remember it
It's
now?
a tough word.
So
in
the
the end, we
stuff-
started calling it beton and cement because.
Right. So it sticks. I hope it sticks better.
Wait.
I'll give you a clue. It starts with meh.
Mellet.
Mellet. That's it.
Mellet.
Exactly.
Mem
Yeah.
lamed tet.
That's right. Mellet.
I just
is-
kept wanting to say it backwards or something. I don't know. Mellet.
Jake, this show is made possible by a lot of different kinds of friends. First thing, we are now going to be partnering with the Israel365.com folks that get the story of Israel out to people around the world, including Bible-believing folks around the world. And so that's Israel365.com, what I call the International Torah Congregation or community, International Torah Community. That's the folks around the world that want to get closer, want to hear the news from Zion. So that's Israel365.com, and also one of their products is the Israel Bible, theisraelbible.com. Put in coupon code Yishai, bang, 10% off of God's holy word. That's pretty cool. Where are you going to get a deal like that? And if you talk to me before Yom Kippur, maybe I could get you a deal in expiation. No, sorry. Then also I want to thank the good folks at Hebron Fund for protecting the Jewish community of Hebron. And that is protecting the mamas and the papas, the first family of Israel, as you call it, the family tomb.
The Jewish family. You know, I want to add something. I learned something at the Marat Machpelah today. I learned something about the tefillin box that I did not know, that I had asked a few people when I was young and never got an answer.
There's two kinds of shins.
Yes, on the box of the tefillin, on one of the boxes, the one on the rosh.
On the head.
On the head. There's a shin with 3 arms. That's the letter shin. And then there's a shin with 4 arms. And so I had a wonderful conversation with a man
Yoni.
named Yonatan. Yes, a Chabadnik from the land of Israel, a combat veteran of the IDF and of the Maglan Special Unit, who told me that the 3 arms of the shin represent the 3 avot, the 3 patriarchs, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 4 represent the 4 imahot, the 4 matriarchs, Sarah, Leah, Rivka, and Rachel.
That's right.
And Rachel. And that was a very cool thing to learn about the tefillin, or the prayer phylacteries that are worn for.
The word phylacteries is not a good word.
It's such a strange word.
It's actually, it means more like a type of idolatrous thing.
Is that right?
We don't have a good word for it, so let's just go with tefillin. Let's just go with
tefillin. They're
Tefillin.
prayer boxes with leather straps. How about that?
It's important to know that the box itself is also leather. People don't know that. They think it's some kind of plastic or wood. It's actually hardened leather, and with a kind of shiny black. And they're housing. Maybe we should use
housing for parchments of scripture.
You know that
verses
I have.
of scripture.
I don't want to limit anybody's gender roles. I really don't. Okay, and I'm really open-minded and all that. Okay, not too open-minded, but anyway. But I have a saying that the phylacteries.
Oh, you use that word. That's a fill-in.
That's a fill-in. Are the male scrolls, because men traditionally would go out of the house. So this was the portable scroll that you could take to the synagogue, and it was on your body. And women have the mezuzah, which is the scroll that protects their zone. And when we say protects, what it means is it draws in God into your house when you put a mezuzah on your door, and it draws in God on your body and on your person when you put it on. And so I made this like separation, like this one is, and I don't want to limit anybody's roles if people are out or not out, whatever it is. But I'm saying this
it actually expands for women. When my daughter asked me, Daddy, why don't women wear tefillin? I said, look at the door. Mommy's got mezuzah on the door.
That's right.
It's the same Shema Yisrael.
That's right.
And
exactly.
And that's mommy's, and she doesn't have to put it on because she's too busy doing everything that a mommy does. And
right.
And my daughter loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really
I learned
beautiful.
something else about the tefillin.
Yeah.
That I'll share with your audience, because when you learn something new, you want to share it.
Sure.
That the Rosh tefillin is actually has 4 compartments in it.
That's right.
The yad, the one on your arm, has only 1 compartment. And so an explanation of this is that in our brains, in our minds, we might have many thoughts, and there are people who think this way, that way, the other, but we're all unified in one heart. So the one that's on your yad, on your arm, is close to your heart. The one on your head is close to your brain.
That's right.
Very good. That was a nice.
We had a good prayer time today at the Marat Machpelah. That was very special, and then good work. And we were with our good friend Jeff Balaban, and it was a lot of fun. And his wife, and we had a lot of talks about what the flag stands for and what the state stands for. And we had a lively, really a lively day of living it. You know what I mean? Living the stuff, driving in the roads of Judea, beautifying it, seeing all kinds of Jews. Sephardi contingent came in to the Marat Machpelah. Then a huge Hasidic Toldos Aaron. That's like ultra hardcore, ultra orthodox Hasidic, boys, and like with their super energy. What's the word I'm looking for? With their what's the word I'm looking for here? This frenetic energy that they came in, like buzzing around the site of the tomb of Ruth and Ishai.
They were really into it.
They were really into it.
There was a lot of joy in the faces, and it's so amazing. After such a short period of time, after you began fixing up what had been a neglected and really decaying area and turning it into a beautiful visiting place, how many people visited in the afternoon that I was there working with your stonemason, building that retaining wall for the terraces? Group after group after group came through, and I was amazed that they found the place.
Yeah, everybody wants to come to Hebron, but they want something else. Now they want to go to the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs. They also want to see something else, and this is cool and it's beautiful and new and it's spiritual, and of course it connects the whole King David story to the story of the forefathers and mothers. The Zohar already says that King David is the fourth in the wheel of the carriage. It's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and David. And so when you're looking from that lookout from the tomb of the Davidic dynasty out onto the Marat Machpelah, you're connecting. And so my friend heard me give the spiel. Mordechai Hellinger, the Chabad tour guide and great amazing guy. So he said to me, he loved it. He said to me, let's call it the fourth wheel lookout. You know what I mean?
Nice.
The fourth wheel in the carriage lookout. Any case, folks, you are listening to the Yishai Fleischer Show, and there was one more thing I wanted to say. What was
sponsors?
it?
You
I was going to talk about the sponsors. There's a lot of good sponsors.
There's the pickle guys.
Oh, that's right. I got it. That's right.
Prohibition Pickles.
Prohibition Pickle. Good. I want to see if you're listening to the show. That's good. Prohibition Pickle. .co.il. That's right. JewishPress.com. My good friend Jay Brick making Jewish Lego. But I do want to end the show today with a dedication to, and I dedicated in the last half, but I say it again, a lost friend this week where his neshama and his memory still circling around me. I haven't consigned it and let it go. I still feel I feel like we must do something for the memory of this great Jew, and that is Sam Solomon, who was just a black belt in karate, a rabbi, a great businessman, a great thinker, a great philanthropist, which is a big deal. To be a great philanthropist is a big deal, and not just a person who people don't understand what philanthropists are. These are businessmen, philanthropist, whatever. That this guy wasn't just giving out money. He had a vision for how to use money to make Israel stronger, and he was finding people to do that. And you will be missed sorely, Shmuel Solomon, Rabbi Shmuel Solomon.
Amen.
And may your neshama keep going up and be a Melitz Yosher. May you be a defender of the Jewish people and of a better world. Jake Bennett, I want to thank you so much. Bennett, the Prime Minister, just declared that he's not going to be running again. He's leaving politics.
No relation.
No relation. Well, some relation, right? Some relation.
Well, we've met a handful of times.
Well, he's also the Prime Minister of the Jewish people.
Well, that's it. Okay.
So
edit out that joke.
All right, folks. Israeli politics does its thing, but the Jewish march is unstoppable. Baruch Hashem. Thank you, God, for that opportunity. To move forward, and may we continue to merit to be an eternal people. It's not just a gift; it's also a responsibility. And God bless all of you folks out there, part of the International Torah community. Write me an email, yishai@yishaifleischer.com. Be part of the show in its various ways. Write us, give us a 5-star rating and all that kind of stuff. Spread it to your friends. And most importantly this is coming Shabbat. Sit at the table with your kids, study the Holy Word, and say L'chaim with a little bit of chocolate from the land of Israel or a Ben & Jerry's and say Am Yisrael Chai. God bless you folks. Jake, thanks a lot, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and Todah. Oh, yeah, and let's not forget Ben Bresky, Yocheved, Moshe Herman, Tabitha, and Lou. You guys are awesome. Shalom, everybody. Lots of love and blessings.
You're listening to the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.